Yes.
Okay, I will gavel in the December Ways and Means Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Chairwoman Sims.
Here.
Alderman Gould.
Here.
Alderwoman Tice. Here. Alderman Erger. All members are present.
Great, thanks. Item 2 on the agenda is approval or amendment of the agenda. Does anyone have any changes, additions, subtractions to make? Seeing none, any objection to approving by acclamation? All right, it'll be so approved. Item 3 is a report of committee chair and alderman. In discussions just before the beginning of this meeting, we're of the belief that we do not need a January Ways and Means meeting unless anyone on the committee feels strongly about having one. All right, so that's my only report, that the January Ways and Means Committee meeting will be canceled. Alderman Gould?
No report other than, Kelly, do we need to switch the pin for the what's showing on the monitor there? I don't know if that's what people see when they follow along. Okay, great, thank you.
All right, Alderwoman Tice?
No report.
Alderman Erger?
No report.
All right, we don't have any report of the city administrator. Moving on to item 5, department reports. 5A, financial statements. Who's got that?
In the packets, you would have found the October financial statements. We are rapidly approaching the end of the year. October is a little more in depth and a little more to talk about than some of the other things. By October, we have fully done the salary compensation plan has been fully implemented. We also resolved the issue with St. Louis County. That is reflected in here. So the spending patterns have increased based upon those types of situations that have been resolved and then have been implemented. The revenues are, their patterns are well. We are still in discussions with St. Louis County about receiving the funds for the closing out of the TIFs. So I would have expect those November, December. I haven't seen them yet. We continue to ask for those and give them the pathway in which to find it and then give it to us. We have done that as well with them. So we have worked with Mark Grimm. We have worked with their staff. If it does come in January and or February, based upon the manner in which we do accounting, they will come back to 2024, depending on how those disbursements are dispersed. So, and then in 25, they will stay there because now we'll start to collect that percentage that was before issued to the TIFs. So we are waiting on those mechanisms to sort of even out November and December financials. That's sort of the highs and the lows of where the financials sit. Any immediate questions, any concerns? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
5B on the agenda is investment report. Do we have, I guess my eyes are,
Brad's
all
online.
right, Brad's online. Okay. Hi, Brad.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. Happy kind of holidays. Yes, so very similar format to what you've seen before. Just wanted to give you all an update. Don't think we were able to meet in November. So the spreadsheet that hopefully you'll have in your board packet there shows current year-to-date investment earnings in that top box of $667,000. So that's everything in 2024 that we've earned to date. And then if we add that to the interest earned over the course of time of the 2.7 million, we're about $3.4 million total interest earnings. So gotta love that.
And we do.
Yeah. Let's go to the next page with the blue line graph. Every month, I kind of like to let you see what your earnings have been for the previous month. You see there, we've got an average still maintaining of roughly $60,000. But I wanted to point out, in September, we had a peak of 70,000, which was wonderful. And then it's kind of declined a bit. Interest rates have come down a little bit, But the primary reason for that, and I think you all saw that in a memo from Michelle in November's meeting, that there were some expenditures that were made by the city, and investment money that you had in investments was pulled out to help pay for that. So we've just been reinvesting a little bit lesser amount. So that's just wanted to point some attention as to why we're seeing a bit of a decline. Any questions on that, or would you like me to move forward?
Not seeing any.
All right. The third page there, I'll run through this, and I think this is kind of neat. So, of course, I assume everybody does. So, what you see here in the blue declining line is our government's federal funds rate, and we've talked about this a couple of times in the past. And what that is the Federal Reserve raised the Fed funds rate to bring inflation down. And now that inflation is basically down, they have dropped the federal funds rate, which is essentially very close to what you would get in money market, just sitting in a checking or savings account. So that's already dropped 2 times. Here we are in December with a approximate federal funds rate, or implied rate they call it, at about 4.42%. In just under 2 weeks, the Federal Reserve is very likely going to make an announcement that they're lowering it another quarter of a point, 0.25, and then a number of times throughout 2025. And so what you see there could be a visual representation of what any money that we have personally or with the city in a checking or savings account, what those yields may look like over time. But the fact that you all had this money invested and you've got it locked into fixed income securities, you're in that red line above. So during that time period from basically now until 2025, end of 25, you've got an average return of roughly 4.5%, while money market rates will continue to probably widen that delta between the two. So I just want to point that out to you. It's kind of a pat on the back to Bola and Michelle for being on top of this, and you guys for allowing us to do it. If there are any questions, I have one more thing to run through with you.
Oh, proceed.
Okay. Gilmore and Bell, they're our bond counsel, and they're the ones who write all the bond indentures and work with you all on a number of things, one of which is your arbitrage calculations. And essentially what that is you are being a tax exempt entity, you get a lower borrowing rate than the private sector. And as such, you are able to invest your bond proceeds, as we're doing, but you are not allowed to profit from it. That's essentially taking advantage of having a lower borrowing rate. And so every 5-year period, Gilmore and Bell does what's called an arbitrage calculation. And it's a pretty in-depth calculation on how much money did you have that was unspent since the issuance of the bond over the course of the next 5 years. How much money did that cost you in interest expense, and how much did that money earn you? And our Gilmore and Bell, a couple of weeks ago, did their arbitrage calculation. They determined that you earned everything in the 2019 bonds that you were allowed to earn, and you earned about $33,000 more than you were allowed to earn. So that's a wonderful thing. That means you left nothing on the table. And you all were required to remit approximately a $33,000 payment to the Treasury, the federal government. And so that money will sit there kind of in a bank account for the city of Brentwood, because in the next 5-year period, every 5 years, you've got to do this for the life of the 2019 bonds and all the bonds. The 18s are on their own 5-year path. So let's say in the next 5-year period from 2024 to 29, interest rates decline and we are unable to earn up to what it's cost you to borrow it, which is called recapturing your negative arbitrage. Well, that difference or the less amount, whatever you're short, you can send in some paperwork to them and get some or all of that $33,000 payment from this one five-year segment returned back to you. So it's a two-way door every 5 years. But I just wanted you to know that this being the first 5-year arbitrage calculation on 2019's, that you earned everything that you could, and you had some excess, and that'll sit there waiting for you in case interest rates decline and we need it back.
That's great.
Yep.
Pretty,
Yep.
Oh, you're right, that is exciting.
yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to explain it because it is a good thing, and sometimes boards, they don't understand it. Like, well, why in the world are we sending $33,000 off? Well, it's a, you know, it just means that you did great, and you did a little too great. So I think that's all that I have, unless there are any questions.
Not seeing any. Thanks for the good news.
Okay. Okay. My pleasure. All right. Well,
All right.
then I will hop off and let you all continue.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Brad. Have a happy
All right.
holidays.
Thank you all. Happy holidays. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Okay, moving on to item 6, which is the consent agenda. There are only 2 items, the approval of the minutes. Is there,
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
all right, do we need a voice vote on that, or? Okay. Roll call, please. Or,
Voice vote?
or
You can do
voice
a
vote. Well, okay, I didn't hear you. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, they'll stand approved. Do we have no old business? Moving on to item 8, 8A, new business, ARPA grant funding.
Good evening. I'm excited to stand here and present another grant opportunity that we received notice of funding for. This is slightly different than our prior ARPA grants that we applied for. Previously, all had been through the Department of Public Safety. This one is through Department of Health and Senior Services. Slightly different process, application packet. Our application was approved unedited, which we were really excited about because we showed our match from a 2022 purchase. So this is really good news for the replacement of this equipment and getting the latest technology for cardiac monitors on our ambulance and fire engine. So the application was for 2 cardiac units. And I will say, this was not included in the 2025 budget because frankly, we didn't know the status of the grant. What this will do is this will allow us to, if approved, allow us to place the order prior to the end of the year, which is what the quote is good for. All the transactions and delivery will occur in 2025, so the purchase and reimbursement will be a budget amendment of the 2025 budget. Additionally, the 5-year CIP will adjust to reflect the removal of these 2 units. The one is a standalone unit. The other was included in the price of a new ambulance, so that will see a deduction. So that's how we will calculate that moving forward.
Alderwoman Tice?
So I just want to say kudos. It seems like so many times you come before us, and often you have a grant. And so just congratulations on it's hard to do these, it's hard to write them, and thank you for your work and your team's work.
Definitely a team effort, so thank you. I'll pass that along.
I'll make a motion to enter into an agreement with the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services for the funding of a grant to purchase 2 cardiac monitors.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. Roll call, please.
Chairwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderman Erger?
Yes.
Motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
Great, thank you. Item 9 on the agenda is citizen comments. We don't have any citizens in the gallery. Do we have anyone online?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so seeing that there don't appear to be any citizen comments, we'll move on. We do have a closed meeting on the agenda. So at this point, that's the last item. I'd entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to RSMO 610-0212 real estate and adjourn from there.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Chairwoman Sims.
Yes.
Alderman Gould.
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice.
Yes.
Alderman Erger.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great. Thanks, everyone. I won't speak too soon about how long it'll take, but I think that was